I was just asking one of our listeners here, Nan, was saying, how do you know what the best oils are and when to use them?
Okay. Well, you learn, and there are some references. I use the Essential Oils Desk reference from Essential Science Publishing, and it's a great resource. It discusses each of the individual oils, what their major molecular constituents are, whether it's a great antioxidant or not, what the historic uses are, and there's also a nice reference section that lets you look up what is your health issue, what's your health issue, and how can you work with it. And part of just like any aspect of natural health, people need to kind of understand how to get to the very root problem. Most of our health issues are because we don't drink enough water and we let our system build up with toxins. And we change the filter on our air conditioners and the filter on our car, the oil, air, and gas filters periodically, but we never change our filters. And so most of the people who are suffering chronic diseases really need to do some things just to cleanse their system. And that's one of the things that essential oils can help them do. Aside from being relaxing, aside from being anti-inflammatory for headaches and muscle aches and pain, they can help move toxins out of our body. They have tremendous antioxidant capability, which people understand. The antioxidants go up against free radicals, right? They don't usually understand all of the ramifications, where do the free radicals come from, but just suffice it to say that just the act of living and digesting your food makes free radicals. And so if we don't have the antioxidant capability to handle that radical will steal electrons from some of our cells. And then that'll start a process of bad cells replicating, and that's what leads to degenerative disease. That's why it's not easy to find some of these degenerative diseases early, because it takes a long time. You have to have a whole lot of bad cells replicating before it can be seen, before you have a symptom.
So these essential oils, these aromatherapy type oils, you can use internally and also on the skin to get rid of the free radicals.
Yeah, that's one of the things that they do, yes. They also have antiviral and antimicrobial characteristics. I mean, here's another example. I don't know. Well, this is from the New Testament, so there's a lot of religions that acknowledge the works in the New Testament. When Moses was out in the desert, pardon me?
Right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
When Moses was out in the desert, he had a recipe given him for something called the Holy Anointing Oil, and that was comprised of frankincense and myrrh and cinnamon and something called cassia. And I'm trying to think if there's another essential oil in that or not. But then it had about 20% olive oil, and that was used to disinfect the implements that the priests used. And when you think back then, what the priests did, the people went to the priest if they were sick. So they went for anointing when they were sick. And the priests also, back in the Old Testament, they were slaughtering animals for sacrifice, right? So here is this group of thousands of people wandering around the desert with no water, making animal sacrifices, and needing to have medical attention periodically from the same people who are doing the sacrifices. Well, this holy anointing oil was used to clean the implements of the priesthood so that the bacteria that would be present would be killed, because they didn't have any water to be cleaning up after the slaughters. They cleaned the implements and the knives and so forth and themselves with essential oils. And we know now, because we can analyze the oils, that the cinnamon and clove and frankincense and myrrh are all highly, highly, highly antimicrobial, meaning that they will kill bacteria and fungus and virus.
That's amazing.
There's even a story about the Middle Ages of a group of thieves. They were grave robbers, and they went around and stole all of the jewels and valuables from people who had died of the bubonic plague. And when they were finally caught, it was discovered that they were spice traders and apothecaries. And what they did was they used essential oils in the form of oils and of herbs themselves to protect themselves from the bubonic plague. And they told the recipe that they used. There's actually 13 or 14 recipes floating around, but the common thread of all of them is the clove and the cinnamon, and I think there was eucalyptus and rosemary. And so we have a blend called Thieves, named after these grave robbers. That is, it's got a phenomenal kill rate against just about anything it comes up against. We're even using it in our toxic mold protocols to eliminate toxic mold instead of, pumping your house full of chemicals.
Interesting. Well, that's very interesting. So tell us about your business. We're halfway through the show, and can you tell us about what you do and what Raindrop Texas is?
Well, Raindrop is a technique that we do, that we use some hand maneuverings called VitaFlex, that I don't know if you remember Stanley Burroughs. Do you know of Stanley Burroughs with his Master Cleanse program? He was a healer back in the early 1900s, and in about the 20s or so, he brought us techniques from Tibet that make use of some of the reflex points on the body and the feet. And so we incorporate some of those in our Raindrop technique, and we put 9 oils. 2 of them are blends of oils, but we put a number of oils on both the feet and on the reflex points up the spine. As chiropractors understand that there's neural connections between different parts of the spine and different organs on the body. And so we put these very powerful oils along the spine, and then we stimulate it using this technique called VitaFlex, which means vitality through the reflexes. So we basically are sending a little electrical signal that will, as that electrical signal moves towards the brain and then back to that organ, it also can carry the oil with it so that the oil can do its work in the place where it's needed.